Welcome back, beautiful soul, to Intuitive Homeschool, a soul-led space for parents reimagining education through presence and not performance. I'm Mama Ray, a mother, a mirror, and a lifelong student of energy, spirit, and the living curriculum that is our everyday life. Here we explore child-led learning, intuitive development, emotional intelligence, and the nervous system, not just for the babes, but for you, babe, for you, the parent, for you, the grown-up, for you, the adult, not as separate subjects, but as a way of being. Because the soul of a child doesn't need to be taught who they are. They need space to remember. This is a place for reflection, restoration, where your child's energy becomes the curriculum and your presence is the method. So if you have the capacity to right now, you might be watching me on YouTube. You might have found me in video form on Spotify or other platforms. And I am so excited because this is my first time doing video form, because my intention here is to connect with you. I am a real life person. Hello. I just want you to know that I'm human and I'm having this human experience with my child with you. And we're in a new world right now where we're doing something completely different, and we're taking a route that most people have not taken, which is homeschooling. And then to take it up a notch, homeschooling from an intuitive and a spiritual way, in a God-led way, in a way where you're trusting that your child has a curriculum built inside their soul, and that you, the beautiful parent that you are choosing to hold them in that very special way. So, hello, welcome. And if you are that kind of caregiver parent, I love you so much already, because we're doing something that's so amazing. And if someone hasn't said that to you yet, someone hasn't told you before that you're doing amazing things by choosing to homeschool, even just thinking about homeschooling because you know that this might be the best path for you and your child, you're dope. You're already gold stars, amazing. I love you, and I'm so excited that you're here with me today. So, today I want to talk about something that I've been living lately, something that humbled me as a mother. You know, those moments when your child feels so capable, so articulate, intuitive, and emotionally aware, no matter what age your child is. There are times where your child impresses you, right? That you almost forget that they're still teeny tiny people who are still developing their brains, and they really don't know that much yet because they don't have that much lived experience. So that happened to me this week. My daughter, who's 3, has been fully potty trained for months now, and she communicates so clearly, tells me when she's tired, when she's hungry. She loves to narrate her whole life, okay? She loves to talk, this one. And then one day during this birthday party, in the middle of the party, she peed her pants. Like, she kind of made it a performance too. Like, she was showing people that she was peeing her pants. And I watched my loving and beautiful husband, his face just completely tighten. He just got so frustrated and disappointed and almost confused. Like, I knew he was thinking, like, you know how to do this, babe. Why did you blah, 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 blah. Why did you do that thing? And insert your own child's thing that they did. Like, why did you do this? I know you know better than that, right? And in that moment, I could feel both sides. I could feel the parent who expects consistency and the little child inside of me whispering, like, it's okay. It's okay to forget sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes. And that's what this conversation is about today. It's how easily this brilliance of your child's soul comes out. And it can become a burden sometimes, because we adults often unconsciously start treating like smart and highly capable children like little adults, and how this pattern repeats through age 7, age 14, even into your 20s and into adulthood. So today we'll explore what's happening developmentally, psychologically, and energetically. And maybe, just maybe, we'll remember how to give grace, not just to our kids, but to ourselves. Okay? We need to give ourselves grace. If you hear me loud and clear, we need it too. And we spend so much time being a good parent, a conscious parent, but We need to give ourselves that space. Okay, so we're going to get into this and I'm going to break it down by age groups because this is relevant to everyone. So let's start with age 3, that tender bridge between babyhood and childhood. So if you have a toddler right now, you know what I mean. They seem so aware. They seem so articulate. They surprise you with their memory, their questions, and their humor, like starting to make jokes. Like, how did your little brain just do that? You start thinking, wow, they're getting it. Wow, they're understanding life. Wow, their brains have the capacity to process in that way now. But development at this age is so uneven, beautifully so. Cognitive understanding might sprint ahead while emotional regulation still wobbles way far behind them. The Harvard Center on the Developing Child calls this stage the bloom of the executive function. That's the brain's ability to pause, remember instructions, and manage impulse. But here's the truth. That part of the brain is still like super duper wet clay. And I'm sorry, did you just hear my belly growl? Because I am very hungry right now. So once I get through this recording, I'm going to eat, okay? Um, the brain is still like wet clay. It's sensitive to fatigue, to stress, to overwhelm. A child who can communicate clearly in the morning might melt down all the way down at bedtime. Not because they've forgotten, but because they've reached a complete capacity of overload, right? So, can you remember the last time your child had a regression in some form or fashion? Maybe it was bedwetting, clinginess, or a sudden defiance. So, what if instead of seeing it as a step backwards, we saw it as integration? So, this is the invitation, seeing these, what seems to be steps backwards, as integration moments for the body, the mind, and the spirit. It's basically their system saying, like, hey, I'm processing something really, really big right now. Even though I might have been doing something really consistently, I'm still adjusting and processing. So, when I looked at my daughter after that accident, I realized it wasn't rebellion. My ego wanted to feel like, oh, she's rebelling because she knows better, right? But my soul knew it was just humanness. It was her nervous system saying, like, I need you to slow down with me right now. That's when it hit me. I and my husband treated her progress like a promise instead of a process. You feel what I'm saying? So let's give ourselves some grace, our nervous system some grace, and our child's nervous system to understand that for their progress is not a promise, it's a process. Now let's fast forward a few years to age 7, the age of reason, the so-called golden years in both Montessori and Waldorf philosophies. Now kids at this age start reading, thinking independently, asking really deep questions, and we, the adults, start expecting self-management. So, like, clean up your desk, remember your homework, put your shoes away, clean up after yourself, be responsible. You know better than that. But they're still children. Their brains are still developing, and at 7 are still wired for exploration over optimization. They're supposed to be wandering right now. That's the design of their bodies, their spirits, and their brains. So curiosity is still their native language. I'm going to say that again. I'm put it big and bold on my video. Curiosity is still their native language. So when your bright 7-year-old forgets their lunch again or lies about brushing their teeth, it's not necessarily defiance, it's development. And that can be hard because nobody likes to be lied to. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been trained to understand that lying is a bad thing. So when you can give yourself grace, give your child grace to know that this is still a developmental stage, our role is not to scold curiosity into submission, but to guide it with scaffolds. So simple rhythms, gentle accountability. Would you like to pack your lunch first or brush your teeth first? You know what I mean? Give them those options. We've been taught as kind parents to give options so that your child knows the way through your guided questions. Because when we start praising consistency over curiosity, Children learn to hide their confusion instead of exploring it. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to stunt them from being curious about the world. And I wonder how many of us did that as kids too. I'm definitely one of those people. How many of us performed competence because we thought mistakes meant we'd lose love from our caregivers or our parents? So now let's talk about the teenage years. We're going to get into those hairy years of a teenager. The age when kids can debate like philosophers, but still slam that door when you ask them to take out the trash. At 14, they sound grown, they even look grown, but their brain's prefrontal cortex, that part that handles that long-term planning and self-control, is still wiring itself. I know, we're in it for the long haul, parents. Dr. Dan Siegel calls adolescence a time of remodeling, a construction zone of emotion and identity. So when your teen says something brilliant one moment and then impulsive the next, it's not hypocrisy, it's neurological reality. So let's imagine for a moment that your teen argues logically for more independence, staying out late, choosing their own clothes, deciding their schedule, and you feel proud of their reasoning until they forget a major assignment or a major thing that they promised to do for the family. And suddenly the tone shifts. How could you do that? You know better than that. And that phrase, you know better, might be the four most discouraging words we can say to our growing souls because they do know, but knowing isn't the same as being able to yet and really ingraining it into their free will yet. Their wisdom outspaces their wiring. It's it's pretty humbling, right? To realize that our frustration often comes from expecting emotional regulation that even we as adults struggle to maintain. Yes, I am one of them. I am on my upper 30s pathway, and I am still someone who forgets things and doesn't do things that I even promised myself. So we need to give ourselves grace. We need to give our children grace. Sometimes the best thing we can do with a teenager is to pause and say, I know you know better. And I also know that this is hard. So let's breathe and come back when our bodies are calm. That one line teaches grace more than a lecture ever could. And just to add a little flavor into this, my friend had come over with one of those rubber bracelets and it said, say less. And I was like, I need that. I need that, friend. Can I have that? So I wear this bracelet every once in a while when I'm feeling a little bit more edgy to remind myself that less is more, to say less, especially to a little. Even my husband, like, say less. Let's say less, Ray. And then there's the next stage of 21. Let's go into our adulthood. The symbolic threshold of adulthood. College years, independence, the world expects you to have it all figured out and all together. But research shows that executive function continues to mature well into the mid 20s. Consistency is still forming, responsibility is still stretching its legs. I've watched this with friends and younger relatives, a brilliant young adult that can oscillate between confidence and collapse. They're learning to hold both freedom and failure at the same time. And the world rarely gives them permission to be wobbly. And to be honest with you, we need to give permission to all of us, no matter what age you're at, for us to be wobbly because we're human beings. We're having a soul experience. Nothing is really solid like that, you know? There's so many parts of ourselves and so many components of our inner child and our adult self and our wounds and our conditions that really dictate how we respond to the world. So being wobbly is okay. Let's have a little bit more forgiveness for ourselves and for others. So what if we as parents or mentors became safe spaces for those wobbles? Instead of saying you're an adult now, you need to grow up, we could ask, what support would help future you stay aligned? And this works for my my partner too. So just know, excuse me, that we can offer our support. We can offer our support for alignment for the future. And that feels good for our family and our friends and our colleagues, everyone. Grace doesn't disappear when they grow up. It just changes form. So when you step back, you start to see the thread. Children and adults grow unevenly. A 3-year-old may be linguistically advanced but emotionally tender. A teen may be intellectually mature but really impulsive. And a 21-year-old may be wise but really ungrounded. It's called asynchronous development. And when we don't see it, we set expectations by the highest domain instead of the slowest. That's what turns giftedness into pressure. It's what turns you're so smart into you can't ever fail, never make mistakes. The spiritual invitation here is to match our response to the slowest developing part, not the most advanced. I'm going to say that one more time. The spiritual invitation here is to match our response to the slowest developing part, not the most advanced. If the feelings are like a 3-year-old, but the words are like a 10-year-old, meet them at 3. That's where the safety lives. So you can take this into adult conversations too. Like, really understand if you can be the witness of your life and really sit in your soul seat to hear people's words truly, really meet them where they're at, not where you expect them to be. And if you were that child once, the old soul, the responsible one, the smart kid, you may still be healing from that mismatch. The part of you that was applauded for composure but never held in your confusion. You deserve the same grace you wish to give your child. So before we close, let's bring this into the body for a moment. Where do you feel tension of expectation? Just take a moment, take a deep breath. Do you feel it in your chest, in your jaw, your belly? I invite you to whisper to yourself, growth is not linear. Grace is my method. We all deserve some grace. Next time your child or your partner or your own inner self forgets something they knew better, remember, we don't punish the nervous system for being overwhelmed. We meet it, we mirror it, and then we begin again. Thank you for being here, my lovely friends. Thank you for doing this inner and outer work with me. If today's reflection moved something in you, share this episode, leave a note. I love, love, love hearing ideas live in your home. And if you'd like to go deeper, you can find more reflections and practices at transformwithrae.com, RAE. I do one-on-one sessions, not necessarily for homeschooling stuff, but I am a spiritual coach and guide, helping people go through those mysterious parts in their lives where they just don't know which direction to go to next. So if that is interesting to you, hit me up. If you like this, if you're here this far, like, subscribe, share with others. It really, really means a lot to me, and I love you for it. So until next time. Be gentle with the brilliant parts and with the messy ones too. That's where real learning lives. I love you, love you, love you, love you. From my heart all the way to yours, from my soul all the way to yours. This is Intuitive Homeschool.